A very good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to the English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We believe you had a good start of the week. Let's kick off today's edition with the headlines. Rwanda's gross domestic product grew by 9.4% in 2025, reaching 23,387 billion Rwandan francs, up from 19,918 billion Rwandan francs recorded in 2024. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, says Rwanda plays a key role in peacekeeping missions across Africa. And on the international scene, despite trade tensions, US-EU goods trade hit a record of 1.05 trillion in 2025. My name is Olive, and it's always a pleasure to have your company. Let's kick off today's edition. Rwanda's gross domestic product grew by 9.4% in 2025, reaching 23,387 billion Rwandan francs, up from 19,918 billion Rwandan francs recorded in 2024. The figures were released by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda. We have details. The growth of Rwanda's economy in 2025 was mainly driven by the key sectors of economic activity. The services sector remained the largest contributor, accounting for 52% of the total GDP, followed by the industry with 22% and agriculture with 20%, while other components, including taxes, contributed 5%. Most sectors of the economy recorded positive growth during the year. However, a few sectors experienced slight declines. For instance, textile manufacturing contracted by 1%, hotel and restaurant services declined by 2%, while health services decreased by 13%. The Deputy Director General of the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, Jean-Claude Mwizerwa, explained that these declines did not significantly affect the overall economic performance, noting that the comparison was made against exceptional periods when certain sectors had received increased investment and activity. Although agriculture employs the majority of Rwanda's population, its contribution to the 2025 GDP remains lower than that of the services and industrial sectors. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, stated that while the agriculture sector registered growth, it still requires significant improvements in productivity and modernization compared to other sectors of the economy. Addressing concerns about the ongoing geopolitical tensions involving Iran, the United States and Israel, which continues to affect the global economy, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning acknowledged that Rwanda may experience indirect economic impacts. However, he reassured citizens that the government is working on measures to mitigate potential risks and maintain economic stability.
If it is very huge, it means you're taxing a lot. If it is negative, it means you are negative. It means the services you're giving are less than the taxes which is also not good. It's not sustainable. So the range is okay. This it's an indirect way of seeing whether we are growing in terms of the resources we collect, especially to finance the development that we want to see. So if it is positive and not very exaggerated, it is good. It shows we are going in the right direction and slowly in a sustainable manner.
According to the report, economic growth by sector was as follows. Agriculture grew by 7%, industry grew by 11%, and services grew by 9%. Within the agriculture sector, food crop production increased by 3%, cash crop production increased by 32%. This growth was largely driven by a 60% increase in coffee production, while tea production rose by 8%. In the industrial sector, mining and quarrying increased by 17%, construction activities grew by 11%, manufacturing expanded by 10%. Manufacturing growth was mainly supported by the 35% increase in the cement and brick production, 21% increase in metal production, and 24% increase in chemical and plastic products. Meanwhile, food processing industries grew by 9%, textile manufacturing declined slightly by 1%. The services sector also recorded notable growth. Wholesale and retail trade increased by 15%, Transport services grew by 7%. Information and communication technology services expanded by 15%. Financial insurance services increased by 7%. Public administration services grew by 6%, while education services increased by 5%. Now moving ahead, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, was received by his counterpart, by the Djiboutian counterpart, Abdul Karim Hussein Omar, during an official visit where he delivered a message from His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, to the President of Djibouti, Ismail Omar Guelleh. The message included Rwanda's request for Djibouti's support for the candidacy of Louise Mushikiwabo for another term as the Secretary General of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. During the meeting, Ministers Nduhungirehe and Hussein Omar also received the state of bilateral relations between Rwanda and Djibouti. They discussed opportunities to expand cooperation in sectors of mutual interest with the aim of strengthening diplomatic and economic ties between the two countries. Now moving ahead, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, says Rwanda's role in peacekeeping missions across Africa is key, adding that the international community and various organizations should not underestimate it. Adam Squizera has the details.
Since August 2004, Rwanda began contributing to the international peacekeeping efforts, starting in Sudan, which at times was facing severe insecurity stemming from political instability. To date, Rwanda ranks fourth among the countries contributing the largest number of troops to the United Nations peacekeeping missions, with more than 4,500 personnel deployed in South Sudan under UNMISS and in the Central African Republic under MINUSCA. In Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, residents say they deeply appreciate the work of Rwanda troops and police who have been deployed in the country since 2012.
Have changed significantly because now that they are here in the Central African Republic, we have peace and security everywhere. The Rwandan forces deployed here have done a remarkable job. You see them providing security across all areas, on the roads, in the neighborhoods, and you can clearly feel the safety. You can move around at any time from 4 a.m. until late at night, without fear of being robbed or harassed. Honestly, since the Rwandan troops arrived, we have seen a major and positive change.
The
Rwandan forces here in the Central African Republic truly give us a great deal of strength. Their presence is not new. They were here before and left behind a lasting positive legacy because they were the ones who stopped the advance of the rebels. Given the recent challenges our country has faced, we went through very difficult times. But with the arrival of the Rwandan peacekeepers, hope was restored.
Under military cooperation arrangements in 2022, Rwanda began assisting Mozambique, which had been struggling with the terrorist group Ansar al-Sunnah in the province of Cabo Delgado. More than 3 years later, many residents who had fled their homes have returned to their normal life.
We can now sleep peacefully and move around even as late as 1 or 2 a.m. without fear of being harmed or harassed. In the past, we were forced to flee into the forest for safety, but after the arrival of the Rwandan Defense Forces, we were able to return to our homes. We urge them not to leave because they brought us security. They are always present, even in the rain, ensuring our safety.
In August 2025, during his visit to Rwanda, Mozambique's President Daniel Chapo praised the role played by the Rwandan Defense Force and police in restoring peace and security in Cabo Delgado province.
And also to thank the people of Rwanda through the Rwandan forces who are helping our nation to combat terrorism in the province of Cabo Delgado. Once more, we would like to pay homage to the men and women of Rwanda who, alongside the Mozambican forces, have been fighting the terrorists. the enemies of peace, stability, development, and the well-being of the Mozambicans. Thanks to this cooperation, we can see the peace returning back to the region, especially the province of Cabo Delgado.
Political and diplomatic expert Ambassador Joseph Mutawa says this cooperation reflects Rwanda's growing role in supporting peace efforts across African countries.
The essence of what our security forces have been doing all these years. How can we try to do what other people, other nations, other countries are missing when it comes to peace and security? We know how it is hard and we know how it is painful. So therefore we say, how can we provide? How can we become the providers of the security they need? And that's very important because they said never again. But the never again was just words. It happened in Rwanda. So how can Rwanda today and then in early 2000 could, after the genocide against Tutsis, could say never again? And we decided to say peace and security, it is something we missed, it's something we need for all other people, irrespective of where they come from.
In July 2022, following the request from Mozambique, the government of Rwanda agreed to deploy forces to help restore peace and security in the country and protect key infrastructure located in Cabo Delgado province. As explained by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe.
We carried out significant work that enabled civilians to return to their homes. Students are back to school, and major gas investments resumed operations. All of this was achieved by the Rwanda Defense Forces in collaboration with the Mozambican forces.
However, Minister Nduhungirehe notes that the actions of some countries and international organizations that continue to put the pressure on troops involved in these missions risk slowing down the efforts aimed at restoring peace and security.
We also recalled that Rwanda itself contributed funds 10 times greater than those provided by the EU, and that we even lost soldiers who were killed. We emphasized that in carrying out this mission, Rwandan forces are working for Mozambique, its citizens, and the international community at large, including companies with investments there. These forces cannot effectively perform their duties while being constantly criticized, sanctioned, and put under pressure. On the side of Mozambique and Rwanda, the cooperation will continue, but it is clear that it could be undermined by the behavior of countries that keep putting us under pressure or imposing sanctions.
Besides peacekeeping and counterterrorism operations in Africa, Rwanda's forces have also recently took part in humanitarian missions, including assisting the rehabilitation of infrastructure in Jamaica that have been damaged by Hurricane Melissa. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Still on the activities of the RDF soldiers, Rwandan soldiers who had spent 2 months on a humanitarian mission in Jamaica have returned home and were commended for their dedication, discipline, and exemplary conduct during their deployment. During their mission, the troops assisted communities affected by natural disasters, particularly by rebuilding homes that had been destroyed. In addition to reconstruction work, the Rwandan soldiers also helped introduce the community service initiative known as Umuganda to local residents at Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, the capital of Jamaica. Rwandan and Jamaican soldiers bid farewell before the troops departed. Upon their arrival in Rwanda, the contingent was received by Major General Alex Kagame, the Rwanda Reserve Force Chief of Staff, who commended them for successfully completing their mission within the scheduled time frame and for representing Rwanda with professionalism. Many Jamaicans say they will not forget the support they received from the Rwandan soldiers during the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, which caused loss of life and significant damage to infrastructure. Beyond reconstruction efforts, the mission also left a lasting social impact, and the Rwandan troops introduced the concept of Umuganda, Rwanda's community work program, by bringing residents together to participate in collective community activities aimed at rebuilding and improving their neighborhoods. While carrying out their humanitarian work, the soldiers not only built houses but also mobilized communities to work together, demonstrating the spirit of cooperation and solidarity embodied in these activities. The soldiers were encouraged to continue upholding these values, which have contributed to Rwanda's positive reputation in international missions. Jamaica, with a population of nearly 3 million people, bid farewell to the Rwandan troops with gratitude. Many Jamaicans expressed their desire to visit Rwanda in the future, reflecting to the strong bonds created during the mission. Now to other matters. A report by Fitch Group, a US-based global economic analysis firm, has ranked Rwanda among countries with a stable economy. This assessment is based on several factors, including the country's ability to mobilize domestic resources through its capital and stock market, which accounts for 30% of the gross domestic product. Nora Gladys elaborates.
This assurance in Rwanda's economy is also reflected in some Rwandans who have invested in the country, including Queen Mwamikazi, who has invested more than 400 million Rwandan francs in various businesses, including a children's toy business in Kigali. Within 1 year she has been operating, she now employs more than 30 permanent workers. Opportunities, she says, are made possible by the country's good leadership, which supports women and girls. The President and the government truly listens to us, and even the First Lady supports us greatly. So you can feel like this is the pillar you rely on. And wherever you go, they listen because the leadership recognizes that strength. I would therefore encourage my fellow women not to let it go to waste. I used to work like everyone else, but I started thinking about higher level things. Today, I work and provide many people with jobs. I employed no fewer than 30 people in this country. So having worked and being able to give more opportunities is very rewarding. And I see it as something positive because I'm not only working here. Wherever I operate, I create jobs. According to Fitch Ratings, this report moved Rwanda's economy from the negative outlook category to the stable outlook category, as explained by economic expert Straton Habyarimana.
When you look at the overall rating, it gives you positive points, but also areas where you can improve. It helps the government to make strategies to improve in different areas. Particularly, for example, in Rwanda, we need still to make efforts to deal with inflation, to deal with the gap between financing and investment opportunities. So what we get as revenues and what we expend, there is still a gap, a budgetary gap, and that needs to be also addressed. We need to keep sustaining our growth. It's good. It's a very positive point that was highlighted.
The Rwanda Stock Exchange has introduced a method to ring the bell commonly used in the market, aimed at encouraging women and girls to participate in buying shares through an initiative called Ring the Bell for Gender Equality. A week dedicated to promoting financial literacy among youth, Global Money Week, has also been launched. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Console Uwimana, stated that the number of women and girls in economic sectors is still low and needs to be increased.
A recent research conducted by GMO shows that while the private sector currently employs 90% of labor force in Rwanda, the number of women is still low, especially in leadership and technical fields. For instance, in transport, women's representation stands at 4%. In construction, it is 13.4%, and 20% in mining. Indeed, women occupy 32% of decision-making positions in the private sector, and only 34% own businesses. Quite contrast for the country globally recognized for having a highest number of women in political decision-making. We must do better in the private sector.
Economic expert John Bosco Kalisa highlights that this report gives confidence to those who want to invest in the country.
Otherwise, the report is very positive, has indicated a very positive economic outlook, a positive political outlook, and has given strongly, has conveyed a strong message to investors that the Rwanda is ready and ripe for investment. So we welcome all the investors, the regional investors, what we call CBI, cross-border investors, global investors, and this report also echoes the recent report by UNCTAD, where the Rwanda performed exceptionally very well in terms of attracting investment, creating a necessary environment that is conducive for investment. Rwanda, again, is a leader in this area.
The issue of price fluctuation in the market, as well as the persistent gap between what Rwanda exports and what it imports, are among the points highlighted in this report as areas that need to be strengthened.
Going ahead, the government of Rwanda, through the Ministry of Education, has signed a cooperation agreement with the European Union as well as the governments of Finland and Lithuania under a program known as the Twinning Project. We have details. The initiative, valued at 50 million euros, aims to strengthen early childhood education and improve the quality of learning for children in pre-primary schools across Rwanda. The Minister of Education, Joseph Nsengimana, stated that over the past years, the government of Rwanda has invested significant efforts in expanding early childhood education as part of a broader strategy to build a knowledge-based and education-driven development starting from the earliest stages of learning. The European Union Ambassador to Rwanda, Belen Calvo-Uyara, together with the Vice Minister for Education, Science and Sports of Lithuania, Jonas Petkevicius, emphasized that Rwanda's clear development vision and strong political commitment to improving early childhood education were key factors that motivated their countries and institutions to partner with Rwanda on this and other initiatives aimed at enhancing the overall quality of education.
It's a support to the government of Rwanda, to support to the high level of ambition that is embedded in the National Strategy for Transformation that intends to increase the level of enrollments of kids from 44 to 67% by 2029. So this is about early childhood education. We believe that by working in the early stages of the education system, we impact positively the whole education system and we support the knowledge-based economy. We are very proud to do this together with Finland and Lithuania, who are two countries that are in the top of pre-primary education and early childhood education. They bring their experience, they know how, and the concept of twinning will mean that they will be hands-on, working with the professionals on the development of a very high quality system for early childhood education. So the European Union is supporting the government of Rwanda beyond this initiative on pre-primary education. So this is one of our global gateway flagships in the continent on pre-primary education, and the reason to invest in Rwanda is because of the high level of ambition in the National Strategy for Transformation in working on pre-primary education. So we are working beyond this initiative in supporting the government in developing the quality of the curricula, working with teachers, working with the food in schools, and working also on the infrastructure and the building of the classes for pre-primary education.
We think that pre-primary education is a very important step in schooling, and in education. If children give a strong foundations for education in the primary school, then all education and their outcomes will be best and will be better, and social emotional situation in the school will be better. We choose Rwanda because we saw that in education system very quickly grow in Rwanda. You have many children in your schools, but and you have very clear vision of what you want to do.
Currently, about 45% of children who start primary school in Rwanda have attended pre-primary education. However, under the government's National Strategy for Transformation, this figure is expected to increase to 65%, reflecting the country's ambition to expand access to quality early childhood education. In 2011, the government of Rwanda introduced the Early Childhood Development Program to address issues such as malnutrition and stunting, which often affect children's ability to learn effectively when they begin school. Currently, more than 31,000 early childhood development centers operate across the country. These centers provide childcare and early learning services, where children are nurtured and stimulated through age-appropriate curricula designed to support cognitive, social, and emotional development. As a result, many children now begin primary school better prepared, having already acquired essential foundational skills and early learning experiences. To sports matters, the head coach of Rwanda's national football team, Amavubi, Stefan Constantine, has said he's pleased to return to Rwanda and is determined to deliver results and help restore the country's football standing. The 63-year-old English coach made the remarks on Monday during a press conference where he was officially presented to the media after being reappointed as the head coach of the national team. Constantine previously coached Rwanda between 2014 and 2015, leaving the team ranked 64th in the FIFA World Rankings at the time. The president of the Rwanda Football Federation, Fabrice Shema Ngoga, said Constantine was selected from 688 coaches who applied for the position. He added that during their discussions, the coach expressed a strong desire to complete unfinished work and further develop the national team. Constantine noted he's happy to return to Rwanda and is ready to work hard to improve the team by addressing weaknesses and building on the team's strengths.
Back here, I had a great time the last time I was here. Hopefully it's longer than the last time. And when I do leave, it's because we've done what we've achieved on what we set out to do. So I think the most important part of the question is how we have declined since I have left, and why is that the case? I can't say as to why. All I can say is that I'm going to fix it. It will not be easy. I think there are a lot of things that we need to do. Maybe not all in one day, but I would like to do as many things as possible in one day. There's 24 hours in a day, so what should you expect? No surrender. We're going to fight.
Now, the coach's first assignment will be the friendly matches organized under the FIFA series, which will take place in Kigali from March 26 to 31st, 2026. According to Ferwafa President Fabrice Manguga, preparations for the tournament are progressing well. He also called on Rwandan football fans to attend the matches and support the national team. Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us throughout this edition. We wish you a great night.